Me,
Sure.
hello?
Hello, everyone. Are you
Knock,
out
knock,
there?
knock. Hello?
Hello, everyone out there. Welcome,
Welcome, welcome
welcome to the
to another
show, everybody.
wonderful and exciting episode of Darren's Danger Room. Oh, damn it,
Yes,
Steve.
people were saying, "Did I fall asleep?" Heck, no, I didn't fall asleep. And just because I look like I haven't slept in 7 years doesn't mean that I haven't slept uh
Wow.
in seven
Coming
years.
for Josh's appearance. I guess your TikTok hottie thing isn't going as well as you thought it was.
Definitely not. Definitely not. I think I had like two or three good ones in me, and that's pretty much all I had. But you know what? I had more famous TikToks than Jupiter's Legacy had seasons.
I mean, that's fair. Also, like, I like this subtle flex of Nerdvenger merch. The fact that I don't have a mug
Oh,
is,
we got to get you one. We definitely got to get you one. And I got to turn off this chat box because it
this
just
chat just on
erupted.
my
It
face.
just
Josh, if
erupted.
you don't want me in this stream, you can
It
just
just
say it. Like
erupted all over your face, dude. Oh my god, that was amazing. Okay,
your subtle way of like
I
getting
know,
me.
right? It's like, well, and then slowly over the time, your part of the screen will get smaller and smaller, and then I'll be like, oh, what was I doing? I can't fucking hear you anymore. But yeah,
Honestly, if I
let's.
get replaced by the Nerdvenger mug, it's fine. It's
Yes.
cute.
We'll
He
get you a
deserves
Nerd
it.
Ventures bug. 100% we'll get you one. It's in the mail. Check's in the mail. Let's get into something that's sort of breaking my heart, and that is that Netflix has canceled frickin' Jupiter's Legacy after a single season.
Yup.
Now, the way they went about announcing this was kind of funny. It was almost like the most please don't notice that we had to cancel this show kind of we're canceling the show announcement
Like kicking it,
ever.
literally shoving it under the rug. They're
It
like,
was
don't,
crazy, right?
don't
So
worry about it.
look, you didn't even, or you tried to make it through like one episode, right? I think is where you were at with it. So
Yeah,
what's your what was your take on the thing? How were you on it? Just weren't
I
feeling it?
feel bad because I don't have like a great take on it because I genuinely didn't get through it because guys, I couldn't get through it. The first episode was pretty weak to me.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie. As like just coming hot off Invincible, right? Which just
right.
like blew my mind and smashed all expectations and had an amazing, amazing, amazing first episode. And you know, I'm not unreasonable. I know the first episode is usually where a show is trying to find its footing, but I feel like with a superhero show in this day and age, you gotta know what game you're getting into. And it's an oversaturated game, and it's a game that like everyone's sick of seeing the same thing over and over again. So I expected for like Netflix's big superhero show that it would come in with something a little more inventive, and it felt very run of the mill, very typical classical superhero tropes,
Yeah.
nothing super surprising. So I never got into it. And then, with all the other content I'm like ingesting for the show, for everything else, like it was one of those things where I was like, I'm going to go back to it. I'm going to go back to it. And then I never went back to it.
Yeah.
And then that gives me the sneaking suspicion that a lot of people were in the same boat. I think Lavis, was in the same boat as well.
Yeah.
Like we kept wanting to go back to it.
Yep.
And then we just like didn't go back to it. But I will go back to it because I honestly do want to give it its fair shake.
Yeah.
But you actually watched it and you liked it.
Yes.
So what was
Yeah.
your like general overall thoughts of it?
So it's kind of interesting, right? Like it's shocking to me that they would pull the plug on it essentially this early. And I mean, just so everybody knows, like I know there's sort of conflicting reports out there because they reported it in such a weird way, but like they've let the actors all go of their contracts. Like they're free to do whatever now. They're not bringing back the creative team for it, and instead they're going to treat the Millar stuff or the Mark Miller verse as like an anthology series, and they're doing a whole new Mark Miller project, which is fine and dandy. The thing that I guess confuses me is like that first episode is weak in some ways. Like the action to me was super weak. And I didn't understand why the show felt the need. It was like it knew it had to try to grab people in the first episode, but like even
Mhm.
like a few seconds of properly done and paid for visual effects in like the action sequence would have been so much better than what they ended up doing. And I did feel like the show suffered from that point on. But what was very crazy is after that, the intrigue of the show took over for me. And I think it's like a damn clever show. Like it's really fun. It plays with its themes very well. All of the character moments are excellent. I feel like it's really well acted. And it had great cliffhangers at the end of every episode, which really like kept me engaged and kept me wanting to watch it. So I do think that first episode really hurt it, and it's just confusing to me. Like, why would they, if they know it? they needed it to slap, then why wouldn't they just spend the extra time or put extra money into that episode, or like not do that at all? Because it really is weird to me that they would let it kind of flounder like that. And I don't know. Do you think there's any lessons they'll learn from
Yeah.
this at all?
You know, it's weird because it's like with Netflix, I usually view them as someone or a brand or a company that has their finger on the pulse pretty well, because I think we've all heard just how elaborate and intensive that Netflix's research is done with all of the stuff they have. I mean, they have so much at their disposal with the fact that everything is, done online, and they can see how long they're watching it, who watches it, where they came from, what they watched last. It's just they have so much data at their hands. In their hands, at their disposal. What am I saying?
Both.
Anyways, so it's weird because it feels like it was maybe a gamble, right? Where they were gambling on the fact that there's not a lot of stuff out there in quarantine land and COVID land right now. So they didn't have a lot of competition in that regard. So people would watch it regardless.
Yeah.
And that when it comes to Netflix, it's like a binge worthy platform. So people aren't just like, tuning in and tuning out in 1 second. Like they will just kind of watch something peripherally and maybe not get super invested into it. But at the same time, it's also a gamble too, right? Because it's online and because it is a streaming platform, if people aren't into it, they just click off. They're done with it. If it's not hitting, if it's not slapping, they'll just go back and watch The Office for the 700th time.
Yep, true.
So I don't know. It seemed like a interesting choice, because you're right. If there was a really cool action sequence, I would have stayed for. I literally had the same experience with Mortal Kombat. Like
Yeah.
I went into that movie knowing nothing and just being like, what's gonna happen? I'm here for the experience. Let's go for the ride. The opening action sequence in that movie is so excellent.
Yeah.
I was just like, I stayed for the whole movie, even when it started slowing down. I was like, well, if I get to see something like that again, then I'm in. Like, I'm in. Like, I'll just stay just in case I see something like that. So yeah, I totally agree with you on that front. Like, why they wouldn't like come hard in the first episode. It's a little strange.
Yeah, and you know what? It also kind of speaks to just how savagely cutthroat Netflix is. And this is sort of another aspect of this whole story, and I kind of want to take it here because we live in this day where all of these creatives have these mega deals, right? Everybody knows it's all about IP now. Everybody wants IP for their different streaming services and platforms. They signed a big deal with Mark Millar, and I just find it kind of interesting that the strat was, because it honestly seemed like he wanted to go hard on Jupiter's Legacy. There were multiple seasons planned. Apparently, he had a new comic book that was going to tie in directly to the Netflix show. I'm hearing like all these kind of crazy plans that he had. And it seems like Netflix was like, we'll give you a Power Rangers action sequence budget, and you better make it work, because if you don't, we're going to cancel it and go on to the next thing. It seems like they're really aggressive with the way they're leveraging the different creatives and the different IP. And I wonder if that is either concerning or interesting to you, or if you think this will impact maybe like what they'll do with Dan and Dave and some of those properties that they'll develop. Because Netflix ain't playing no games. Like, I can't imagine. It's still crazy to me that they canceled it this fast. Like, they saw that data and they were like, nope.
Yeah, I feel like it was like kind of especially cutthroat for Netflix. I was a little surprised, to be honest, because I do feel like Netflix still likes to throw its money at shit. Like Netflix puts out so much mediocre stuff that I was a little surprised that they would take something that they've banked so much on and just kick it out the door immediately and not even try to go for the second season, because there has been redemption for shows on Netflix. So it's gotta. Did it do so poorly that they really would just get so scared of this, or they just maybe have so much planned or have so many other cool things in the books that this is one of those gambles where they're like, you either make it work or you don't, and when they didn't make it work, then you're done.
Yeah,
you're out.
Yeah,
done with you.
It's like interesting, right? Because they're gonna spin it into, oh, the Mark Millar stuff is all gonna be anthology, and so they're gonna do another Mark Millar property, and then they're gonna do another Mark Millar property, and it seems like, okay, well, if that's sort of the thing, that's all well and good, but are Mark and Netflix on the same page? Does that even matter? Like, if Netflix is basically like, because I've heard they make a lot of algorithm based decisions. So they have some algorithms that basically decide pretty like ruthlessly if something is working or not. And the metrics for Jupiter's Legacy just must have been so bad that they were like instant no, move on, go to the next thing. And
Yeah.
I almost can't blame them because the what I saw out there from people online was a lot of mixed and meh, which was surprising to me because I like the show, but also like, dang, dude, are they just like ahead of us? And are we gonna get to the point where like machines are deciding like what is the best types of shows and what is the content that people really want, even more so than we're getting right now? Are the robots taking over, Darren?
The simulation, it's happening right now. Elon Musk went on SNL and it just kicked it
True.
into gear. Is that what happened?
True. That's exactly what happened.
You know what? No, I also don't think I keep having to sneeze, so I keep itching my nose. Sorry, guys. The allergy season's back in full swing.
All good.
Um, but I also don't think Netflix is above returning to something. So if they are fully invested in Mark Millar and they want to go back to him, I'm sure they would do other projects with him. And if those other projects do well, they would probably use that to go back and do a second season of Jupiter's Legacy. Because
Sure.
I do feel like Netflix is kind of like the queen of like revamping old shows and like giving them their moment to like have the reboot or the second season that they never got. So I could see them going back and revisiting it, but hell yeah, they're algorithm based. Like even I've heard, so I'm like really into stand-up comedy, and I've heard from like different stand-up comedians on podcasts that when they go into that Netflix room, it's like laid out.
Hmm.
It's just like they have all the data, all the metrics. They're like, don't have the movie poster like this, don't put this in this clip. If you do it like this way, then it will be, they'll stop watching it at 30 minutes, and it's just so analytical and so
Wow.
crazy because they have so much data.
Yeah. That's pretty freaking interesting. I mean, it's to me, it's a little bit of just a bittersweet thing. I mean, actually, no sweetness at all. It's just bitter for
That's
me.
better.
But I guess it's at the very least like kind of interesting and in some ways validating that like yeah, there was one of the things that I think really hurt the show is the Netflix formula in general, and I find that
Yeah.
it's really hard for Netflix shows to get buzz and to really capture that imagination with the just straight bingeable thing because it's like you're either in or you're not, and it has like one good weekend or maybe 4 or 5 days of making a splash out there. And I don't know, I continue to believe that I think either weekly or doing like 3 episodes at a time or something like that would be a better formula, especially for like superhero sort of stuff. So I don't know, I guess what I'm saying
Definitely.
is I hope that Mark Millar's stuff doesn't all just get not a good treatment because it's cool.
Yeah, I've definitely thought about this. This is like an idea in my head that I haven't done any research on, but that I've like kicked around as something I really actually want to deep dive into. Is what makes a show binge worthy and not, and like why would a show decide to do binge worthy versus not binge worthy? And the example that always comes to mind, maybe I've talked about it in the stream before, is like Stranger Things, right? Like
Mm,
that is a fantastic show, but it's a very binge worthy show. And I think it serves the show to all come out at once, right? As opposed to The Expanse that was on like Amazon Prime. Like that show actually did better by coming out on a weekly basis. And it's like, how do you make that decision in this universe? And like based on the show you make and the product you make, you have to know it's going to be received or digested better in one sitting, or if you're going to like make people wait, and how that'll affect the reception, how that'll affect people talking about it. Because, you look at something like Stranger Things, right? It's like we receive it all at once and everyone binges it in a weekend, but they talk about it for months,
yeah.
So it's just like, that decision is so complex. I haven't done like really looked into it, but it's
Yeah.
something that I've been thinking about for a while on like how those shows differentiate themselves.
Just going off of that a little bit, because I think that even Stranger Things has sort of had that effect now too, where it's just not the same as it was in season 1 and 2. And I almost feel like the Netflix shows, even the really good ones,
Mhm.
part of the thing is when they're first being discovered, they tend to get a lot of buzz because it's like, oh, someone hasn't even experienced it. And it's like the whole thing's on Netflix right
Yeah.
now. And then people go to it. So I think that like even the Tiger King experience, which was less about spoilers and more about like a zeitgeist, was an
Yeah.
experience of it was getting pushed out because people were discovering it. And I wondered, does that hurt then the Netflix shows as they move forward in seasons to be able to recreate it and continue to create that sort of buzz? Because it's almost like everybody that's watched it has watched it. all that sort of caked in dialogue, which does create a lot of the buzz and the hype, that is kind of lessened and lessened as you keep going. You know what I mean? I don't know, man. It's just
What's a show on Netflix that's come out recently that didn't get released all at once? Have they done that?
no.
I can't
Well,
even
they
I can't even
have, but
think
it
of
was
them.
a a very small amount of shows. They took the dude from The Soup. I'm blanking on his name. I actually like the dude a
Oh, Joel
lot.
McHale.
Yeah, and so they did a weekly show with him. I think they've done weekly shows
Oh, but they
in
were like
different.
news shows. They were like
Yeah.
of the
Mm-hmm.
times. Yeah, but
Mm-hmm.
they haven't really done like a creative, just like content show that was week by week basis. So I guess they really haven't played with that form at all, but it's true, right? Because it's like if anything Netflix does be hitting, they do be getting those numbers, and a lot
Mm-hmm.
of it does come from that, buzz and that media presence they create just from creating really really awesome shit that people talk about and then want to see regardless of like when it comes out, how it comes out. I mean, you think of what did they do this year? Bridgerton. It was huge. Like
Yeah.
everyone was watching
Yeah.
Bridgerton, everyone was watching Tiger King. And so it's like I kind of get it when they're super cutthroat and then they're just like, if you're not giving me Bridgerton numbers and we're putting that much money into you, bye.
True.
Like bye.
True. Well, that's the other thing
And
is I wonder if any of these like because even JJ, right? I think about the big deal he signed. It's almost like a lot of these creatives signed a deal in like a different kind of world, right? And with this Mark Millar type
yeah.
thing, it's just interesting. It looks like they're pulling out the value from him. It's almost like Netflix is like, look, motherfucker, we're getting this money out of you. It might not be the way you want to do it, but we're gonna do these number one seasons. We're gonna push one out every
Yeah.
year for the next 5 years. We'll get that bump. We'll get, you know what I mean? Like we'll get those numbers. We're gonna get our money out of you. And I wonder, like with something like J.J. Abrams, because even now we've
Mhm.
got the new company, right? Warner Bros. Discovery and Zaslav and all these new
Yeah.
decision makers. David Zaslav didn't hire Bad Robot for $500 million. Well, I wonder is that going to change? And then with Dan and Dave over on Netflix, I mean, does Netflix recognize that their stock is potentially down? That whatever they do next might be hit with a lot of criticism because of the Game of Thrones stuff? And then are we going to start to see some of these big creatives either like lose out on their big contracts or get unsatisfied with the way the studio, you know what I'm saying? Like
Mhm.
I just feel
For
like there could be
sure.
some conflict going into some of those situations.
That's an interesting thing to think about, like that the when they sign these deals, because it's not like they signed them yesterday. All right, this shit has been like in the works for a
Yep.
while. That they were dealing with a totally different world and a totally different audience, and people wanting to digest things in different ways. Because I do think the way that people are viewing content right now has been severely changed by the pandemic.
Yep.
And so having to make allowances for that audience by at the same time trying to operate on their same model and the same investment structure and plan. Ugh. It's why, and you said even like I remember you mentioned this on another stream that Netflix's subscribers are down for like the first
For the
time
first time in a
in
long
ever.
time. Yep. Mm-hmm.
And that's also probably something that they're kind of freaking out about because they have been like an upward trajectory structure for a while, just like throwing money at shit and hoping it'll come back later, which has paid off for them. They're doing the whole Snapchat vibe, but we're just gonna like, "Bleh, like throw our money out, and if it comes back, it comes back, and it has come back
Yeah.
until now. So
Yeah. It's gonna be a weird next couple of years too, because we talk about some of the tension, the weirdness going on with Disney and just the studios in general. I feel like there's just sort of a really weird vibe sort of shaking the creative landscape right now. There's a little bit of uncertainty about what this all looks like. There's less, even a studio like Marvel, there's less security, even though Marvel's going to be fine. I just think there's a weirdness out there. And speaking of weirdness, let's talk about a different studio that's not canceling something, but greenlighting something that they had apparently canceled before, and this would be the Black Cat movie. Sony Pictures
hey,
making a Black Cat solo movie. Apparently, they want Felicity Jones in the part. I love Felicity Jones. I think she'd be great. What's your baseline take on this in general? You think it's a good
before we
idea?
go into Black Cat, can I ask you a little bit more about Jupiter's Legacy, though?
Ask me all
If you would
about
like.
Jupiter's Legacy.
If
Ask
you
me
would
all about
like,
it.
before we go into, Black Cat stuff. Sorry, guys, if you want to go into Black Cat, we will get there. I promise. Just
No,
hold off for
please
a little
ask
bit.
away. I'd love to talk about this show because I'll never get to talk about it again.
Here's your moment. It's canceled. But as someone who ingests so much superhero content and is always thinking about it in a very thoughtful and deep way, to really enjoy the show that really got a mixed reception, I mean, what did you like about it? What did you
Yeah,
feel like made it really differentiate itself from the content that is going on right now? Because I think what's going on with a lot of the pandemic stuff is like comparison, right? Comparison to the stuff that's happening right now. And I will say that my enjoyment of Jupiter's Legacy was a little bit influenced by just coming up hot off
sure.
Invincible.
Sure.
So
So I'll say a couple of
curious.
different things. I think that especially coming off of Invincible, it was a shame that they again tried to anchor it with the action that was super lackluster, because the whole point of the first episode really is just to show that his son, spoiler alert guys for the canceled show that you're all never going to watch, and obviously not enough of you motherfuckers watched it in the first place. Anyway, spoilers for this season. The whole point is that his son kills, okay? And the whole idea is that the legacy of, him being the dude is that they don't kill. Not just him, but all the heroes don't kill. They don't kill. They don't get involved in politics and stuff like that. They do their thing. They have a code, whatever, okay? So the intrigue for me for the show was watching the story from the past, because you go back to, like, I think it's the 1930s, right around the Depression, and you go back into the past and you watch some of these characters fall apart during the Depression. Some really crazy stuff happens to them. And then there's this very interesting plot of how they actually go to get the powers and what's happening with the powers. And that's juxtaposed against all of those characters like 60 years later in present day, or maybe 70 years later, whatever, in present day, and they're dealing with all the changes in the world, and you sort of juxtapose this sort of old, Superman Boy Scout type mentality from the past with the future. And I did actually think there was really smart and brilliant writing that tied together a lot of that intrigue and that juxtaposition. But frankly, it has very little to do with the action, and it has almost nothing to do with their powers. It has to do with the characters. It has to do with legacy. It has to do with changing with the times, moral issues, and frankly, really, it's about the main dude and like how he gets to the point that he gets to, and why people don't really believe him or buy into that kind of a belief anymore. It's pretty interesting. So that's basically why I was so
Yeah.
intrigued in
So,
the show.
so what I'm getting from that is that you found like the character storytelling within it really strong
Yeah.
in regards to how other superhero stories have been told in the past. But I guess because of that, now I'm curious to hear what you think, because you're also someone who's like really got their thumb on the pulse for like finger on the pulse. Just a thumb, just pinky on the pulse.
I know about
Just a
pulses. You know what I mean? There's some
you know,
pulses.
pulses.
Yeah.
All the fingers on all the pulses.
All the fingers, all the
Uh,
pulses.
why you felt like perhaps that character storytelling wasn't strong enough to lead into a second season, and maybe where you think like the reception went wrong, like whether it was like marketing, whether it was how it was received, or what the outward perception of it was. Like, where do you think it went awry?
Probably just, I mean, honestly, I think a lot of it had to do with that first episode. I think that the
Mhm.
action was really lackluster, which is again such a shame because honestly, here's the thing: like, I wouldn't have probably kept going on the show had I not heard such strong word of mouth
Mm,
from some people that were like, "Nah, dude, it's dope. Keep going." You know what I mean? And I think because it did fall at a time where you're right, we just had Invincible and even Falcon and the Winter Soldier. You know what I mean? Say what you will
mhm.
about it, but it still has that fun Marvel package. It was still a pretty
Yeah.
complete experience. There was just a lot better, more complete stuff out there, and I think the real juice of the show is that character stuff, and they didn't even really advertise it very well, and they
Mm,
definitely didn't do a good enough job of like getting right to that like immediately in the
got
show,
it.
because I don't even think you get like the first episode's so weird because I don't even think you get any of the past in the first episode, and like the whole story of the past is one of the coolest parts. And they don't even. I don't even think they give you any of that in the first episode. It's like you have to get through that to
Yeah.
then get into the other thing. So probably, I think really, it's that first episode. You know what I mean?
That's interesting. Yeah. That makes sense that if like the real meat and potatoes are what makes the shows good and it just took way too long to get there, then just a no chance. All right. That's all I wanted to know.
Yeah.
We can talk about Black Cat now.
Yeah,
I was
no,
just curious.
cool. I thought those were good questions. Thank you. No, I was happy to discuss the show, and may that show rest in peace.
You'll never get that chance again. So do you want to take a moment of silence for the future
man.
Josh streams that will
You know what?
that will never
The
be?
coolest part, let me tell you all one more spoiler about this shit, okay? One more spoiler about this shit. The Matt Lantern
No,
character.
the time's over. I'm so sorry.
Damn, cold as ice. No, the Matt Lantern cameo. If y'all are Clone Wars fans, he voices Anakin from the Clone Wars. First time I'd seen him in live action, he kills it, and he could have done so much more. I think they were setting him up to do a lot more in the future, and it's a damn shame we won't see more of him. He was like a Batman character, and you never really even get to see him pop off like that. Yeah,
I have faith that if the other stuff does well, that they'll probably bring it back. We'll see how the content plays out in the future. We'll see.
I heard they might even like rework it or do like a future storyline on a different thing or whatever. So we'll see. Yeah, it's always possible. But Black Cat. What's your take? This was a movie that they had in production or pre-production, then they took off production. Now they're bringing it back. I don't know. What do you think? What's going on over there with Sony?
I am very curious. Like all this Sony news, like what the fuck? What are they trying to do to us right now? Like what is the deal? Like is this just a subtle troll, or maybe they have no idea what they're doing, so they're just like throwing all this news out in the universe to get people to talk about them while they figure it out. They're like, yeah, just keep the hype up. We don't really know what's going on, but we're just gonna get people excited and talking about it anyway. I think the Black Cat decision is a very, very interesting decision for the Superman franchise. I would be very curious to see if they would actually go for it on the big screen.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very like Catwoman, Elektra vibes, like love interest / villain. Like she's a bad girl, but there's something about her. I just can't quit her, And then it's like the push and the pull, the yada yada da. So and there's a lot there, right? Because like if Sony is greenlighting it, the question that keeps coming back, when will they tell us what Spider-Man is going to be?
Right,
if it's going to be multiple Spider-Man, what Spider-Man are they going to do for it? And if we're just going to live in the world that we have now, right? Which is that there are no Spider-Man.
Right.
According to the world that we live in this exact moment, there are no other Spider-Man.
Yeah, according to Andy Serkis or whatever. They're not aware of Spider-Man.
Yeah, But it would be really cool, according to Andrew Garfield.
Yeah.
But if it's with Tom Holland, I would be so interested to see if they really do that, because it would mean that they're going to start doing real storylines with Tom Holland. And right now, they're still living in that very like adolescent childlike state.
Yeah.
That very like wholesome, like cute, like teenage Spider-Man. Yeah. And that's not a teenage love story. I mean, it is, but not for like Disney teenagers.
Yeah. No, it would be interesting to see, like, would they do that with Tom? Would they give him that kind of a love interest that would be sort of, more mature, more scandalous, a little bit different than your average thing? I don't know. There's also the possibility of it being Andrew or Toby, which could be really interesting. I would say, Felicity Jones, if they did go that route and have Felicity Jones, I mean, she would crush with either one of them. I'd really like to see her across. She's awesome, dude. I'd love to see her across from Andrew for sure. But you know what else could be interesting is her with Tom Hardy. We keep kind of forgetting that, like, Venom seems to be really the center of that universe, and Black Cat and Tom Hardy together, that could be kind of an interesting little dynamic setup there. It again shows that Sony is really all about these villain movies, that they really seem to be going that route.
All they got.
That's like literally all they got. And now they like forced 1 million villains into the Spider-Man No Way Home thing. I don't know what they're doing with that. But yeah, man, I don't know. It's certainly interesting.
They won't tell us which Spider-Man, but they will tell us that we're getting 3 new Spider-Man villains.
Yeah,
no
all his villain movies. All his villain movies are coming, and you're gonna get all the yeah. I don't know. I want to get excited about. Well,
just tell us.
The president of Sony came out and made some comments. I think they were made like late last week or whatever, basically saying there is a plan to connect these movies to the Marvel universe, and you'll know the plan more after Spider-Man No Way Home. So it's possible we get a setup there. I
Did they
also
just
read
we get there when we get there to us? You know,
kind of, I mean,
the
kind
whole
of.
world is like, are we there yet? And they're like, we'll get there when we get there. And we're like,
Yeah. Well, it's a little bit of that, but I will say that it is kind of comforting that the president would come out and say like, "Oh no, there is a plan and he's engaged with it." I mean, especially considering this massive deal that
mhm.
Sony and Disney have now figured out, and how we keep kind of hearing that this might well have been holding up a lot of different projects and decisions. It's interesting because if the Black Cat movie was removed during the time of these negotiations, whatever the finalized deal looks like, Sony feels comfortable enough where they're like, yeah, we'll get this Black Cat thing going. I've heard there's maybe even that Silk show that's being developed, maybe
Mhm.
a Madam Web kind of thing going on as well. So I don't know. I'm interested to
I
see what
do
the
know.
chat thinks about Black Cat. I'm not the biggest Black Cat fan. I mean, have you
I
ever read
do
much
know.
of her?
Just I haven't read much of her, but just what I know, like peripherally based. And guys, correct me if I do get this wrong, but I am pretty sure she gets her bad luck power. So she has the power of bad luck, meaning like she gives people that she fights bad luck,
Mm,
and she got it in Secret Wars from Kingpin. So it's like that's another thing that makes me curious. Like, is this going to tie into the whole like MCU storyline, and are they going to do it with Tom Holland? Um, she also has like a sexual assault origin story where she like that's like one of her things that turns her into a bad guy and makes her seek revenge. So that would be a really interesting thing to see Disney do. They
right.
really, I mean, shit, they kind of want to do like lean into that, woke culture, telling, more evolved stories. So if they want to lean into that, okay. But I mean, that's pretty dicey realm to go into if they really want to do that. And I mean, just speaking of like the whole Disneyfying of things, like, the whole it would be really interesting. It would be fun to see for a Spider-Man movie because up until now, every Spider-Man movie we've seen has been that very like wholesome, goody goody, like MJ,
Yeah.
Gwen Stacy romance that's just like so cute. I love the real you, Peter Parker. Where the whole thing with Black Cat is that I love Peter Parker. She's like Spider-Man.
Yeah,
It's
that's very
like,
true. That could make for some really intriguing kind of,
yeah,
even maybe a love triangle situation, or at least like, the devil
right.
on the shoulder kind of thing. Yeah, no, I'd be into it. I think,
MJ who loves the real Peter Parker, and then
yeah.
you have Black Cat who loves Spider-Man, and him trying to like make peace with both sides. And if they really wanted to do a whole like toxic love triangle, I'm just like, are they really gonna put Tom Holland in his big boy pants and his big toxic relationship pants?
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. We'll have to wait and see. I don't know. I don't know if Sony's got the guts, or if even Disney would let them do that with Tom. Who knows exactly? But
Right.
we shall see. I'm definitely interested to see what the chat has to say about the Black Cat business. Oh, geez, look at this stupid thing we got to do. The stupid camera
Uh-oh.
problems. Anyway, whoa, what the
Guys,
heck?
just hold off. We'll figure it out.
I just
Hello,
turned
hello,
blue for a
testing,
second.
testing.
Did you see that? That was really weird. Anyway, um,
Yeah.
so there's a couple other cool nerdy things that are going on in the world. I know you had said something about liking Party Thor. You liked Party Thor, so we'll go over just a couple more of the
Oh,
fun
I
things, and then we'll get into
did.
Q&A a little bit. But yeah, tell me about your love of this Party Thor, and just in general. Are you super excited for the What If series?
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm trying to curse less because it really does seem to irk people, but I can't help it, guys. It literally just spills out of my mouth hole. But I am so fucking excited for the What If series. Like, it seems so cool. Like, when did the trailer drop? Like a year ago. Like, it's
I
been so
know.
long.
Yeah.
But the animation for it looks so sick. And then like the more we get, the more we hear about these crazy stories. It just seems like it's going to be the most fun.
Yeah.
Like, most fun, just totally like playing around sandbox, like sandbox MCU times, and I'm here for it. Although I am a little curious, like I love the idea of Party Thor. Actually, the idea you had on your stream where you talked about your like theory of him like raging on planets before Galactus like consumes them. I
Yeah.
thought was so fun. I love that idea so much. But at the same time, I'm like kind of curious to be like, you know, I want to see a giant Thor rager, but like, are we really gonna see a giant Thor rager? I feel like, it's like when Hannah Montana sings about like pumping up the party, like what party? A birthday party, like Disney's version of a party different. So like I kind of want to like I want to see the hedonistic, crazy You know,
Yeah, that's true. I mean, it is an
John orgy.
animated. Yeah, I mean, it's an animated show. So on the one hand, it's like, oh, they probably won't go like super hard on that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
But also, they are doing, the zombies, and there's some weird stuff like
they
that going on.
are.
So I don't know. I mean, I don't expect it to get super dark, but at the same time, it looks like that Doctor Strange is like super demony and like dealing with devil type stuff.
Right?
So I don't know. I think the one thing that's super cool about What If is like we get to sort of remove those. The canon's great and the connective tissue's awesome, and that's a big part of why we love Marvel. But in some ways, it can be sort of
Yeah,
chain them down. You know what I mean? It can really restrict
for
them in
sure.
some ways. So I don't know. For me, it's like I want it sort of unbound. I want to see what kind of real juice. What kind of real juice can they give us, Darren? You know what I mean when it comes to
Yeah.
the unabated,
What
fun Marvel stuff. Oh, I keep doing this stupid thing keeps
what
happening.
is going on with our
Look, and it
chef
went
right now,
blue
guys?
again. I
You
know.
can.
Yeah, your end is a little glitchy for me. I don't know if
I
what's going
know.
on.
Oh, God, you guys, I'm so sorry. Technical difficulties. If I could
Yeah.
crawl inside the internet and figure out what was happening midstream, I would. But
Yeah, we'll look into it and figure it out. I felt like we
yeah,
had part of
sorry,
it
guys.
figured out at the beginning of the stream because like
I know.
switching to this did work. It did help out, but now it doesn't look like it's going all that good. But we'll figure it out.
Yikes.
Yeah.
I know that this is totally unrealistic, and like, why am I even bringing this up? But just like a part of me does just want to see like an Asgardian, just like orgy party. Like that would just be so fun.
It
Like
would be
it's a
super fun.
like
That's definitely not going to happen. Disney would
it's never
definitely
it
not
would
allow it.
never. But I'm imagining Thor like a god, going to all these different realms. Like that dude would rage, and it would just mean like bitches.
I mean,
Boobs,
I'll be
boobs.
real with you. We almost got one of those scenes just from the behind the scenes with Taika Waititi. I don't know if you saw those photographs, but yeah, he almost had a
Oh,
Asgardian orgy
yes,
just himself with
we love
Tessa
we
Thompson.
love a poly icon. Let's go, Taika Waititi and
Yeah,
Tessa
man,
Thompson. You guys are all kiss
he's
each
killing
other.
it. He's killing it. Do your thing. Do your thing. That's what I say. All right, let's get into some Q's and the A's. Give me just a second to pull up some of this stuff. We might have a weird glitchy thing as I do, ladies and gentlemen. I
I know. I'm
apologize.
so sad.
Give me just a
I
moment
don't.
here.
I don't want to be that bitch.
Yeah, it's all good. We'll figure it out. We're a lot of crazy things going on with the channel. A lot of changes, a lot of happenings, as it were. So let me just get in here, and then we'll pull this up, and then we'll see what all the peoples have to say about all the things. Let's see here. Does it take you off of the screen when I pull that this up here?
I was off the screen for a little bit, but now
Crap,
I'm
it
back.
is. Man, that's the most
Fuck.
stupid, irritating,
Fuck.
bullcrappy thing that I've ever seen and or heard about. Okay,
Again,
regardless.
Josh, if you just don't want me on the stream, you can just say it. Like,
I
just
know,
say it.
right? I know.
Gosh, stop putting chats over my face.
Well, it's like
know?
multiple stupid things because if YouTube would just work properly with the way that the stupid things are supposed to show up, we would get through it. But we'll tear through these super chats here, ladies and gentle beings, and then we'll get into the chat and see what y'all are saying. And it'll just kind of be just a fun, casual night, just kind of hanging out and seeing what's going on.
Yeah.
Let's see here.
A
Green
little bit
Bear
of slow
says,
news days.
Yeah,
but you
super.
can't, you
Summer.
can't stop our brains from having something to say. 'Cause
Yeah,
if there's
for
something
sure.
that we have, Josh, it's always something to say.
Always
Stop running our
something to
mouths.
say. Green Bear says with a $5 holler, because I'm Greenvenger Green Bear now, here's some
Oh.
green. Interesting. Take my money, says Green Bear. Well done. Well
Hey.
done there. Dorian Trussell says for the $10 holler, says the Spectacular Spider-Man animated series touched on Black Cat's dad in an episode in season 2. Also heard the show was getting a third season a while back. So that's pretty interesting. Have you ever watched the Spectacular Spider-Man at all, Darren?
I have not. Sorry.
Did you ever watch
Hello?
the 90s animated one?
The 90s animated one, yes.
Fire.
But
Straight fire.
Spectacular Spider, is that new?
I think it's old, actually. I think it was around that time. It actually came out after the 90s one. I think it had him on the cover, it had like a weird web
Mhm.
glider thingy wing kind of thing. I don't know, man. I don't know. But yeah, we'll have to look into that. I definitely appreciate the support, and perhaps there is a
Yeah.
tease there about it coming back. Who knows? I like the
You know,
ultimate
I
stuff.
just You know, what I just randomly thought of when you
What you?
said like the 90s cartoon is that I've always thought it was kind of like really wholesome and one of those things of bygone times, right? That people used to like literally wake up in the morning, early morning, every Saturday morning, watch these cartoons. That was
Yep.
like, yeah, I can't wait. Spider-Man's gonna be on, woo. And I was like, oh, it's kind of a sad thing, but it's like we do that in the Nerdvenging community
I
for like
know.
watch parties.
I
I
know.
was gonna say there's a nostalgia about that, but fuck that, it's happening right
It's
now.
happening
We
right
we
the hell
recreated.
now. No, I know. It is kind of fun to sort of bring back that flavor and that sort of
Yeah.
Saturday morning cartoon kind of vibe. It's
Watch parties
absolutely
have a
fun.
Saturday morning cartoon vibe, and I love to see it.
You
So
love
wholesome.
to see it.
I love to see it.
Trev says Netflix can't do Wanted, Kick-Ass, or Nemesis, I think. What's next? Superior? Super Crooks? Super Crooks is actually the one that's coming out next. I don't know, man. I think they could definitely do Nemesis, but they got to up that budget. They definitely got to up that budget because Nemesis is dope, and it wouldn't necessarily require a crazy budget, but it would require a good enough budget to make that shit look sick. And yeah, that's some of his best work. I don't know if you've ever read that at all, Darren.
I haven't, but yeah, I agree on the budget thing, which is kind of, these movie companies don't have those old like Steven Spielberg days where they could literally craft an entire city for a movie. But if you don't invest in the budget, it doesn't work. But then if you invest all of this money into it and it just flops, then you're fucked. So I feel bad for them in that regard. But at the same time, with all the content that comes now and such an elevated visual standpoint, like you can't come with those like bad graphics, dude. No one's gonna
You gotta
no one's
come
gonna care.
on. I know,
Whatever.
I know. And especially if you're only doing one season, like, I feel like they definitely didn't build Jupiter's Legacy as though it were just one season, and they could have given so much
Yeah.
more had it just been one season. So maybe they need to just go way harder just in general. So, uh,
Visuals can like save a show too, because like there are times like like FX's Legion where I was like so lost, but
yeah,
then like it was just so visually stunning that I was just like strapped in and like in for the ride. I was like, let's go. I don't even know.
true,
Like hell yeah.
true. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Those kind of visual elements can definitely save a show and an attention span. Matthew Gay says, have you seen these reports about George Lucas coming back for a new trilogy? Am I allowed to get at all hyped for this? Well, let me quickly check. I don't really think it's real, brother. You'd have to, if it is real, it's brand new because I haven't heard anything about it. And I could
Mhm.
look into it, but I'm gonna go ahead and say probably not real. I very, very much doubt that George would be coming back to Star Wars. If he did, I mean, that would be awesome. It would make huge news. But yeah, where'd you read that from? I don't know, Darren. What do you think about that?
I don't think that's the move, bro. I really do think they just gotta let that like Anakin Skywalker, the whole Skywalker saga die. Like, just let it go. There are so many others. So we've talked about this like a million times. There are so many other Star Wars stories to tell. And I feel like the only reason why they'd bring George Lucas back is to just keep beating that dead horse. Beating that dead horse's cousin. Any horse they can find just to beat its shit. And it's just like, let him rest, bro.
Yeah,
He already
I
gave
mean,
us.
it's a tough one for me because on the one hand, like I absolutely see it's weird. Like I see no reason as to why he would necessarily want to come back unless he definitely knew like that he could fix it and like reestablish
Mm,
the legacy or create a new launch pad for like all these news stories and things like that. I think honestly it's crazy because Star Wars is in my opinion in such a state that something like George coming back would universally be praised even by
yeah.
people that were even people that were like not that hot on the prequels. I think the sequel trilogy did an incredible job of like making the prequels even rise in value to certain people and like get people to be like, damn, at least it was a cohesive vision. You know what I mean? For a story. So I don't know. I don't see it being real, but I would applaud it. You know what I mean? I would think it
Yeah.
would be cool. I don't know.
Sorry, I just burped. Yeah, I can see that's actually a good point, like optics wise, and in just regards of like saving face and trying to get back on track. That could actually probably be a good move for them. But like, I would like to see it more in the capacity of like the Clone Wars animated series, as
Yeah.
opposed to, where he was just like lending his lovely, lovely, innovative hand, but not exactly spearheading the thing.
Yeah, or like just have him like do the story and then from there put new creative on it. Someone else to do
That's exactly what I
dialogue.
mean.
Somebody
Like someone else does
exactly.
the writing, directing, all
Like,
that
dude,
stuff, and
yeah,
he comes with the
just
story.
like allow him to create the outlines and create the
Yeah,
general
yeah.
like fun stuff, and then just have him sit back. I really do think that would go a long way. I do not think it's real. I briefly checked, and some of the sources reporting it are absolute crap, but there's actually one site that reported that's not the worst. And so I am kind of
Ooh.
interested. I'll keep an eye on it.
Yeah.
That would be massive news and would also possibly explain why Star Wars has been so quiet as of late. But yeah,
Not the
regardless.
worst.
Regardless,
What a
we'll keep an eye on it. Thank you for the super chat. Definitely appreciate it. Let's
Thank you so much.
keep her going here. See what else everybody's got to say. Nathan Tattoo says, "Yo, what's up, nerds? Been missing, but happy
up?
to catch a sec of the danger room. Keep simping, pimping. Holler at Darren." That's a beautiful super chat you put together there, Nathan.
Just a sec?
Just
Canceled.
a sec. Canceled.
Canceled.
Hashtag cancel Nathan now. Sorry, Nathan.
Just kidding, Nathan.
I take it back. I mean, I thought that the super chat was pretty cool, but Darren's like, nah, fam. No, but in all
Give me
seriousness,
all or give me nothing. I'm just
exactly
kidding,
right.
Nathan.
In all seriousness, I hope you're
Appreciate it,
good though,
buddy.
Nathan, for sure. Jake Skywalker with a $5 holla here says, "Hey, do you guys think that the Venom movies take place before Tom's Peter becomes Spider-Man in the MCU? It could make sense and explain why he's not around." That I actually have never
Ooh.
even thought
Aw.
of. What do you think of that?
I like that. I like that.
It could
That's
be-
like weirdly feasible.
Yeah, I know,
Like-
right? Like, I actually hate how much it makes sense.
I hate how simple that is. That they're just like, oh yeah, it was like 5 years ago, and you're like, oh well, oh,
Damn, what a good idea.
that's a
You
good
know-
idea. Fuck.
Yeah, it's pretty good, but I don't know. We'll see. I mean, wouldn't that be so freaking bizarre if that's the way they tie it all together? That would be crazy.
I know it would be like a little annoying, but it would work.
Yeah. We'll see. I don't know. We'll see, and
Yeah.
we'll hopefully get some answers with the mother flipping Spider-Man 3. By the way, James Scriven, welcome back to the Nerdvengers.
Hey,
Good to have you. Good to have you. Let's keep going here. Matthew K with the $5 hollow says, "Imagine if Zack Snyder ran the MCU instead of Feige." You got me thinking about that with the Asgardian orgy comment. Would definitely be different. Yes, well, I happen to be a big Zack Snyder fan. Miss Darren is not a big Zack Snyder fan.
I will say though, I did watch that stream where you talked about that comment that he made, and I thought that was real sweet. The one where he talked about like someone's like, "What would you done if you'd ran the MCU?" And he made that super humble, super gracious comment about that it would make a lot less money and
It'd
be a lot less beloved.
I know, he's pretty self-aware. You know what I mean? Like, say what you will about the dude, but he's pretty
Yeah.
self-aware. No, I think
That was really cute. I really thought that was cute. That was like the perfect answer in
Yeah.
my opinion. Just to like kind of like deflect, but at the same time be like, "Those are awesome movies, dude. Don't ask me to like."
yeah, for
put my
sure.
hands on it.
And again, you can't argue with that commercial success. I mean, it's pretty unprecedented what the MCU has been able to do, and you know,
I mean,
even now we can sort of nitpick and have fun. Honestly, some of that isn't even possible unless it's as successful as it is. You know.
I mean, I'm not a Zack Snyder fan, but if I got to see like a Chris Hemsworth orgy scene, well, okay.
See,
well,
we
like,
figured it out. We figured it out, ladies and gentlemen. We figured out the way to Darren's Zack Snyder fandom. All we need is a Zack Snyder directed Asgardian orgy scene. Let's make it happen.
Although with that arm from that Taika Waititi pose, like Jesus Christ,
I know,
what is
right?
going
Like-
on? Like he is like too jacked.
Dude,
Dare I say, too jacked.
Well,
Like too
you know what
jacked.
else is interesting about that is there's the photo he did of his son with his son, right? And his legs look hella
Oh,
skinny, right? And you're like, yo,
what
he
the
skips leg day. I'm starting to think that like his legs are probably massive, but his just arms are so massive that he's making his legs look
That's
horrible.
an
You know what I mean?
amazing theory. That's an amazing. Everyone's like, oh, skinny. But then if you actually saw him in person, you'd just be like, wait, your arm is this
You're right.
big.
You'd be like, those are the biggest
You're
fucking
like,
legs I ever seen, and those aren't even arms, sir. I refuse to believe that those are actual
dude,
human arms.
I like. That's exactly what I thought. I'm like, is this a prosthetic? Is this CGI? That is not a real arm. It's not a real arm.
Yeah,
That's the
it's
size
crazy.
of one body. Like, whose arm is that? And how
It's
did you
crazy.
get that? Can you get? There's no way you can get that naturally. That has to be
So
steroids, right?
it's
Like,
probably not.
can
No.
anyone achieve that?
Well, here's the thing, though. Even people that juice can't just achieve that, though. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, like, he certainly is getting a little bit of help. I bet he's a HGH and a little T, a little TRT. Probably
Yeah.
nothing crazy like a bodybuilder would take. He's on something, but also you gotta admire the consistency of his workout. He does that workout app now, so he's very much involved in that space, and he took it to the next level of training to get Hulk Hogan big because he's playing Hulk Hogan in that biopic.
Yeah.
So some of it's for the Hulk Hogan thing, but I would just say like, yeah, is he juicing a little bit for sure? But you gotta admire that work and the discipline to eat that much food, to pack on that
Dude.
amount of muscle, the amount of food
Right.
that you want to know why he wasn't in the orgy pictures with Taika Waititi? Because he was busy stuffing his face uncomfortably full of fucking protein. And that's the truth. You know what I mean? Like, that's the fucking truth. You don't get no fun when you look that big, dog. You're just eating and not making it out to the orgy.
Okay, I have no doubt in my mind that that dude earned his big fat juicy guns, you know?
Yeah.
I know he's about that life, like, and Chris Evans has made those comments before that like he's excited to not be Captain America so he could stop working out for 5 seconds.
Yeah.
But like, god damn, like you truly, like he just does he eat like 8 steaks a day? Like
Yeah.
that's the only way you could get that big to consume that much food.
Literally,
Just
it's like
he has a feed bag like
Dude,
into like what?
it would be like he would be the villain of the whole Chicken Run universe. Like all the chickens would just look at him and be like, "Holy shit! It's the Galactus of our world. This dude eats 8 chickens a day." Like, yeah,
That
that's
was such a deep cut. He fucking made like a Wallace and Gromit like
yeah, dude. That's right. I fucks with that Wallace and Gromit shit. By the way,
I'm half English, dude, so you best believe I was watching Wallace and Gromit when I was
Wallace and
growing
Gromit
up,
was
so.
hilarious, and I love Chicken Run. I thought, Mel Gibson.
Chicken Run's a
did-
great movie.
He did great in that movie, dude. That movie's awesome. Anyway,
How did we get to Chicken Run?
I'm
How
not
did
sure.
we get to Chicken Run?
I'm not sure.
From
Let's
juicy,
continue.
juicy steroid arms and poly icons to Chicken Run. Where are we tonight?
That's that hot fucking content you signed up for Darren's Danger Room, all you motherfuckers. All right,
Yeah.
Cashton says Jared hasn't read any Spider-Man comic books. Do you guys have any recommendations for him to read? Love you both. Hope you're having a good night. Take my money. Yeah, well, there's a ton of good Spider-Man comics out there. I would say some of my personal favorites are actually
What's
the
the one by-
Ultimates run.
Yeah, what's the one by Brian Michael Bendis?
So he did the Ultimates run. So
Is that what I'm thinking of? The new
Maybe.
universe ones?
Maybe, yeah. Because it's basically like he did the Miles story, but he also
Yes.
does Ultimates Peter, which is a very like an updated version of the Peter Parker story. Because if you want to go back and read the actual like Amazing Spider-Man's like number 1, 2, etc., it's like so long ago that you're gonna be like, dude, this isn't good, and I gotta act like it's good. I get that way with a lot of
Although-
Jack Kirby. No offense to Kirby.
I
but-
will say the storylines where he does start dating like Gwen Stacy and like the whole like runs that like Spider-Man 2 and that whole essence is kind of based off are actually pretty good for how old they are.
True.
I do like those ones.
True. Yeah, there's definitely good stuff in there. I would say, yeah, those runs are really fun. There's a couple of runs throughout Amazing that were really fun. I would say the run leading up to Amazing Spider-Man 700, where then Doc Ock takes over Superior Spider-Man's a very fun run. Clone Saga was a very interesting event in Spider-Man's history. Spider-Verse was really cool. It kind of weird and a little bit of a weaker ending, but Spider-Verse was cool. Spider-Geddon and some of the other fun stuff, interesting. Spider Island was also a really fun run. So I don't know. I just threw a million things at you and probably didn't help you out much at all. Sorry.
Read them all by next week, or you can't come to my stream.
Yeah, and
that's your
I'm
homework.
So
you will be
pissed.
tested.
Cash
there will be a pop quiz.
If you haven't read all of that shit, and Jared, anyway, all right. Felicity says, the thruple pics with Taika were cool, but does this mean #MeToo is over? I heard Disney was upset, but I don't remember hearing any outrage at all. That's interesting. I don't think it's the same thing as Me Too.
It's not a cancelable moment. They're just some poly icons living and loving in their throuple bliss.
But I think if anything, it wouldn't necessarily be Me Too. It would be more of that time's up situation. I think if anything, what she's hinting at is the idea that he is technically the employer of both of them in this situation. And therefore there could be some power dynamic, sort of interesting stuff going on there. Even that I feel is sort of a stretch, but I think, yeah, she says she's working for him on the movie. Yeah, so that's kind of where she's taking
that's
it.
Fair.
So, yeah.
That's fair. Like, if she's his boss and stuff. But I guess the movie is technically done filming.
True. Yeah, I mean, look, I think that the situation with this, it was a very interesting thing because there are people at Disney that were probably bothered by it. There were some conservative people that work for Disney or big shareholders that were probably bothered by it. I bet there's even just general Disney haters that were just looking for ammunition of any which way that they could fire some arrows at Disney, which, by the way, totally fine. I mean, fuck Disney all day. But I don't know that it was the same thing because generally speaking, I think Taika is a very lovable dude by people across the political spectrum.
Yeah.
And this just seemed like a pretty honest moment. It didn't seem like they were trying to even have these photographs taken. And I think there's some semblance of like, yo, let them live. Like, this paparazzi shit's a little bit whack. Like, these people are just out having a good time. And especially after the fucking last 19 months we've all had, like, I don't know. I think that it just hit a little different with that.
I think they'll probably walk a little bit of a finer line too, because at the same time too, polyamory has its own activism and own community as well. And so if they come for them, then they're coming for that as well. So yeah, I don't know. I think it's a little more dicey, and it's not like it's like a sex tape or nudes or anything. It really was just some paparazzi creeping on an intimate moment. So while there is undeniably a power dynamic when it comes to bosses and people working for them, the movie was technically wrapped. They were consenting adults doing something on their own time. So I think Disney's probably just how about we just not acknowledge it whatsoever? Sounds good? Great. Love it. Yep. We'll never talk about it again.
Yep. It's an interesting point. I mean, it did make news or whatever. It's worth talking about. I think she's I think she's poking a little fun at Disney's hypocrisy.
No, what I mean is I feel like Disney is literally gonna pretend it's they don't know what it is. They're just never gonna
They are probably gonna try to downplay it as much as possible. In fact, they probably called Hemsworth and Taika and were like, do you have some pictures of his arms that we can put out to sort of deflect? Because
let's change the convo.
Holy shit. There literally looks like a whole threesome is happening in his arm under the sheets. That's what it looks like to me. Lord Vito says with $5
veins. Sorry.
I know, right? I didn't want to feel left out, so here a 5 spot. LOL. Hey, thanks, Vito. Now you aren't left out. You freaking butthole.
Hey, you're in it.
You're in it now. William Warrington says with a $2 holla, Miss Darren, did you read God Love, Man Kills? Dun, dun, dun. Uh-oh. Wait, let me get this on camera. What was that? Uh-oh. I don't think she's read it. To be fair, I haven't read any more of it. And I'm behind on my comics today. Heroes Reborn came out. I still haven't even read it. I'm trying to get on it. Look, y'all.
I was supposed to read it, and I said I would, and I haven't yet. Hey, Josh, have you read it? Let's deflect.
I've read more than you have.
Josh, have you read it?
I've read more pages than you have about it, and it's real cool. The freaking, what are they called? The Purgers or the,
I bet it's cool. I bet it's so
Whatever.
sick.
They're trying the purifiers. Yeah, it's actually really cool. We should read it. Let's guarantee that we'll read at least
Can
some
you
of more
read
of
it to
it.
me like a child before
I
bed?
absolutely will. In fact, that is the stream next week, guys. That's the
That's what we're
Darren's Danger
doing.
Room next week. We're even gonna green screen like Darren's head on a little baby and just have like a fucking. Anyway, all right, let's keep going on these super chats.
Yeah, Josh will be reading it to me every night before bed.
Yep.
I will read it.
There you go. Hope you're happy, William. Casey Watson says the very generous $20 holla says, how important is the situation with John Cena in China? Should we be worried about our MCU being affected? Darren, you saw this story about John Cena and him apologizing to the CCP? Did you hear about this?
What happened?
Okay, so let me take you through this. It's actually pretty wild.
Right.
You might want to look into it because it was fucking ridiculous. John Cena accidentally referred to Taiwan as a country during press for Fast and the Furious 9. Okay. He went on to apologize in Mandarin. I didn't even know he spoke Mandarin, but he did a really like kind of weird apology to the Chinese people in Mandarin. Honestly, a bunch of people in North America from all across the political spectrum, including like, it's wild when Ben Shapiro and Keith Olbermann are on the same side of an issue, but both of them were pretty much like, yeah, fuck you, John Cena. Taiwan is not only a country, but it's a democracy, and you're making all of us look really, really stupid. Now, so that's sort of the first part of it.
Hard yikes.
Which is
hard yikes.
Yeah,
First take, hard yikes.
Yeah, hard yikes. Here's the other thing that's really crazy about it, though. The movie that he's a part of plummeted in China. 50% of its screenings went away completely. It had an 80% drop in revenue from week 1 to week 2 in China. Maybe $100 million lost out probably by at the end of the day from this. So it was a massive move by the Chinese. They really don't like when people do this. I don't even think they accepted John Cena's apology. It's a real sort of quagmire, and people are worried about the MCU and the MCU dealing with China moving forward. I don't know. Do you have any thoughts? It's pretty scary.
What a fucking hot mess. Like,
Yeah.
my thoughts are like, I'm shocked. What a hot mess of a story. And damn, kind of indicative of the mess that a lot of movies are either in or going to be in the very, very near future. Jesus, that's ugly.
Yeah.
Ugh. Oh my God. Such a.
It's weird because on the one hand, I want to say like 100% fuck you, John Cena. You absolutely should not have done that, especially because it doesn't even seem like it works, right? It doesn't seem like it worked. On the other hand, though, this is the part that always gets me because it's definitely one of those things where I'm like, no, China, this is wiggity whack. You can't just be doing this. On the other hand, we kind of know what they do, and if you're going to open yourself up to that marketplace, and if you represent, because here's the thing, it's not just Cena. The movie employs a ton of different people, right? They employ all kinds of different people.
Yeah.
A lot of people's jobs and careers could be affected by some kind of a move here with China. I think at the end of the day, we as consumers, though, I mean, we need to do our part in sort of sending the message out there because it might just be time to sort of sever that tie. And if the court because here's what's interesting. I saw some people talking about this in the chat. It is possible that this movie is now going to flounder in China, but it might also do even worse in North America because people are like, fuck John Cena, fuck China, or whatever. So these corporations might find themselves in a really weird situation, and they may have already bitten off more than they can chew, and they may already be too dependent on the Chinese box office. And I guess the question is like, does China have these people like absolutely by the balls? Like, what do you think?
I think the answer is 100% yes.
Yeah.
100% they had these people by the balls. And whether they're willing to publicly admit that or not, I mean, the numbers speak for themselves. Like, come the fuck on. Like, the way, like, the amount of buying power the Chinese market has in this is crazy. And the way that they can influence that based on political and social requirements is such a dangerous game to play. Why was he even talking about Taiwan?
he
in
like
the first place.
super duper fucked that up. You know what I mean?
Like, why did you even bring that up? Like, you're John Cena, bro. Like, what
I
are you
know.
doing?
It's crazy to
Like,
me.
you're
Yeah.
gonna save Taiwan with your comments? Like, you're not.
Yeah, you're definitely not. Yeah.
You're not.
It's interesting. And I know I saw some people being like, well, maybe it's just because the movie is terrible. Bro, you're telling me any of those Fast and Furious movies are really good? Like, what are you saying to me? That the rest of them are freaking Oscar winners and this one just happened to be one that,
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Fast
Come
and the
on now.
Furious movies kind of like objectively do well in the box office.
They do
don't
great, and they do very
Like-
well in China. They always have done really
Yeah.
well in China. That's like a big, big thing for them. I just think this is such an interesting moment. I really think that, honestly, the studios need to wake the fuck up to this reality and stop catering to that marketplace,
Yeah.
like, at all. But we will see. Like, we really will see how this is going to shake out in the next couple of years. Who really has the power? Are these studios going to be able to pivot? Does consumer marketing, direct to streamer, consumer behavior, does that take out some of that risk? Because, by the way, I actually thought this is one of the reasons I was really all about streaming. I was like, look, you can take out a lot of the cost from putting a movie over into China, because you only get a third of your gross back unless you cut really weird deals for distribution with the CCP themselves, which is probably another reason why all these studios are super fucked, because if it actually came out, some of the things they're doing behind the scenes, it would probably be really, really bad. But
Yeah.
point being, you might not make that $200, $300, $400 million of box office over in those other marketplaces. But when you're really only making like 120, 150 of that 3 to 4, is it really worth it to have all that much more exposure and to have all of that just sort of profit get eaten away? Where if you just did it on streaming, you'd get the direct money. There's no distribution deals. I don't know. I just think that the whole dependency on box office in general, and you know what it really is that's the shareholders are so high on those massive box office numbers, and hitting $1 billion in the box office. It just looks so fucking cool to the shareholders and all these people. But it's not really $1 billion. It just makes the shareholders happy. It's such a weird situation.
And it's also like, with the way that things are controlled on the internet in China, it's like doing the streaming game wouldn't even really affect that. So really, they should stop playing that game, but I don't see that happening anytime soon. I mean, come on, like,
Yeah.
yeah, that this is like one of those really interesting cultural moments, I think, to see how a corporation handles this like political and social snafu, and how that's going to translate to numbers and what they're going to do as a result of that. I don't have a lot of faith in like a positive response, but
unfortunately, it's a pretty interesting
that is
situation. Yeah,
dicey. I am definitely reading into that after this stream. Holy shit, that's crazy.
It's pretty wild. Pretty wild. Thank you, Casey.
Pretty
Very
wild.
good question.
Thank you.
Vito says with a $5 holla. Okay, legit question. If you could only choose one, which would you pick? Invincible Season 2 or Justice League Snyder Cut Part 2? I'll let you go first. I think you'll go Invincible, definitely, right? You're an invincible gal.
Josh, are we really having this conversation right
We're
now?
really
Are you
having
really
this
asking-
conversation.
are you
Look,
really
Vito
asking
is
me
just
that
trying to
question?
set us up for a fight. I can see what he's doing. I see what
Yeah,
he's
Vito,
doing.
what are you trying to do? You trying to antagonize some shit? You know what I'm gonna say. You know I will say Invincible Season 2.
And you
What
know
about you?
she's fucking wrong, because it would be Zack Snyder's Justice League Part 2, baby. Snyderverse, let's go. And you know what?
In what world would you want more of like the Justice League movie than Invincible Season 2?
Look, Invincible
I'm
Season
gonna
2,
fly
so
to you
cool.
and beat you up right now.
So cool. And in all reality, that's what we're getting at, whatever, and the likelihood of getting Justice League, number 2 or whatever is just freaking impossible. But the truth is, man, I just gotta go with Zach. I gotta go with the Nightmare. I gotta go. The Snyder Cut was so good. I feel like revisiting that movie. That movie's just really good. So yeah, I'd have to go
because
with that.
I don't have 4 hours to dump into a day.
But it's 4 hours that feels like 3.5. So, That was an
A
amazing
word?
face. That
A
was an-
word? It felt like 3.
Word.
Oh,
It feels
okay.
like 3.5. Word. Okay. Let's keep going here. We got a couple more of these super chats, and we'll see what's going on in the
Jeez.
chat here. Okay, let's see here. Colt says, have y'all watched Superman and Lois at all? Love the show. It's the best show on
You've watched
CW
it.
by far since Smallville. The show's incredible. Watch it if you haven't. LOL. I've seen it. Have you seen any of it or not?
I haven't, but you like it, right? You've told me that you like
Yeah,
it.
yeah, I really like it actually. It's look, I haven't seen since the break, so I think there's a season finale that I'm missing or whatever, and I heard it's real, real wild. But yeah, really, really like the show. Great Superman, cool problems that he's dealing with. I definitely like the show. I wish they would give a little bit more budget to the show, but I've also heard the finale is probably pretty crazy. Uh,
Question, because you know what I'm probably about to ask when it
yeah,
comes to that sweet, sweet, sweet romance.
yeah,
Is
yeah,
it
yeah.
romantic? Is
It
it like real
is.
good romance?
It's you
Am
know
I
what?
gonna
Yeah, yeah.
I've been really wanting to love Superman and Lois Lane for a very long time. And I keep like searching for it and all
Mm.
these different stories and movies, and I feel like I don't get it. Is this the show that's gonna finally do it? Give me that sweet, sweet romance that I've been looking
You
for
know,
that makes me understand why Superman loves Lois Lane.
I think so. I think they do a great job with Lois in the show. She very active in the show. So yeah, I think that they could definitely do that. There's also some cool family dynamic they tie in with like Lois's father that's really interesting. You
Mhm.
know, one of the coolest elements of the show, like I'll sort of spoil one element that I think is pretty interesting, is that Lois's father is a military dude that actually works with Superman a lot, and it's really interesting. Like he views Clark, he like he talks down to Lois in some ways because he's like, you married Superman, you should know what it was, he's gonna save the fucking world, bitch, you know what I mean? And like, so there's some of that going on, and then it's like
Yeah.
Clark sort of, it's like Clark and the family accepting and understanding that yes, he is Superman, he does have to go do all this sort of stuff, but at the same time, you know, he has to be a family man, he has to be there for his wife. And so it is cool. I like the way they do that. And there's some modern sprinklings too, because his sons are dealing with like interesting new age problems and you know, yeah. So there's some modern stuff in there that's sprinkled in there as well. I like it.
But this sounds like what always happens, where they always explore Superman and like his, dilemmas and all that, which I love, which is why, I always come back to the Superman stories, but I always want to know why Lois?
Yeah, definitely. I think she's fiery. You know what I mean? I think that she represents, well, for real, for real. I think that's part of it is like her sort of fire because Clark is, it's funny, like I always go back to this sort of like quote that it's in, I think it's in one of the Crisis where Batman is explaining the core difference between him and Clark. And it's really interesting. He's talking about how Clark, despite not being human, is more human than most humans. He talks about how deep down Clark is a good person, and deep down Batman is not. Like that Batman is a tortured soul.
Mm.
He uses his trauma, and even though he doesn't kill, he uses that not killing as a sort of justification for a really fucked up life that he lives, right? He hurts people. He enjoys hurting people. He's dominant. He's domineering. Bruce is a totally different animal. And Clark is sort of not. He's kind of childlike despite being this sort of
Oh,
god. And I think in
yes.
some ways, like I think Clark is seeking the mother, his like sort of, you know, a little bit of
Mm.
Martha, but also the mother that he never had. You know what I mean? So I think that's kind of part of it is he seeks out this sort of strong female. She's a great journalist, and like her wit and her fire in that sense, I think is attractive to him as well. So there you go,
I think, yeah.
little bit of that for you.
I think like actually one of the best examples of like what I'm trying to say was Invincible with how they did, I can't remember her name, like Sandra, the wife of Omni-Man. I thought they did that
Yes.
romance really, really well, with just even just little things, right? Where it's like, yeah, she's sassy and she's fiery and you could see why she would be attractive, but then also adding in those elements of she was the one who showed him humanity in a way that he could understand. She's the one who can hold him accountable. Like she's the one that he like can't lie to. And like maybe I know these things object or not objectively. I know these things like that they always say about Lois, but I guess I never really see it played out in like character moments as much as I'd like to as they did with like Omni-Man and his wife, which I thought
Yeah,
was really
no, I
interesting.
agree. And you know what's funny about that is she's not like that in the comics. She has very little to do in the comic. And the Invincible
Mm,
show, I think it's Deborah, right? Deborah,
yeah,
they bring her up a couple notches, and it's really effective the way they utilize her character.
yeah, yeah,
I actually
yeah.
like legitimately really like it, and it brings out a lot of nuance and cool elements from the show. So, yeah, you're right though. They've never really done great with Lois in that regard. I do think the old Lois and Clark show did a pretty good job about with that. But then again, I was so young. I have such nostalgia for that. I can't
Yeah.
quite exactly remember it. But I highly recommend Lois and Superman or Superman and Lois. I
Just
think it's real
like
good.
knowing why people love each other, you
Yeah,
know?
for sure,
It's
for
like,
sure. So I mean, it is interesting. I think there's a couple of different runs where Supes and Wonder Woman get together, and then there's like in Kingdom Come. I think there's a moment where she straight up tells Superman like he was a fool for loving Lois and not her. And that she was always his real match and equal, and all this kind of
love
stuff like
that.
that. Yeah, it's
You
pretty
see,
interesting, right?
but even I'm not even gonna lie, like I've seen some like kind of like allusions to like Superman and Wonder Woman even in the DC animated movies, and I've liked that better than I've ever liked any Lois
Well,
and
in the new
Superman. So,
52,
yeah,
right. So in the new 52, I believe it is
yeah,
Wonder Woman and Clark that have a thing and not Lois. And I think a lot of the animated shows were adapting New 52 at first. So there's some stuff between them there. Yeah, for sure.
I
It's
like it.
fun.
I
Yeah,
like it.
it's fun. It's fun. I'm into all that kind of ish. So yeah, yeah.
You know, like I want a fucking Star-Lord and Gamora, a slow burn, you know. I want dude, I don't know about like one of my favorite parts of Age of Ultron was the like Natasha Bruce romance.
It's
That is
cool.
perfect.
I would have, yeah, I
I like
agree.
a perfect match.
That
Subtle.
was an intriguing match. I agree. I would have loved to see more of it, but it's hilariously played off in Thor Ragnarok, where he's like, the sun's
I
getting real low.
know,
So
right?
Taika's just like, yeah, we're gonna take that sweet Joss Whedon love and make it hilarious.
Yeah.
Mr. Anderson with a very generous $50 holla, King of the Sims, says since the show is
Yes. No,
canceled,
Simperer.
Simper, see, yes, uh,
Simperer. Get it right.
Simperer, the Simperer. I like that.
Simperer.
I like that. Since the show is canceled, would you guys consider reading the Jupiter books if you haven't already? They're really good and definitely the show definitely didn't do them justice. You know what? To be honest with you, Mr. Anderson, I will check them out now because I am actually pretty
Yeah.
damn interested in how the books could go. And now we'll never get more of the freaking series. So yeah, I'll probably have to go to the books to get it.
Yeah, 100%. I'll probably do that too.
Yeah.
Because if
Marcus,
that was like where
great.
it was super strong, then I would probably rather read like the real juice, the real
Yeah.
meat and potatoes of what drew Netflix to it in the first place. So definitely I'll probably be checking this out.
100%. 100%. Yeah, I'll check it out as well. And definitely appreciate the love, Mr. Anderson. Jared says, "Hey
Wow.
Josh, just sent a Star Wars beat in the Discord that I would love to hear you freestyle on. It's in the general chat. Take my money." Well, Jared,
Gosh,
I
are
appreciate
you
it.
good at freestyling?
Please, I invented freestyling, and by invented freestyling, I mean no, not at all. But I tell you what,
Okay.
Jared, I will look at that beat. I'm not going to do any freestyling right now. I wouldn't want to steal the thunder from Taryn and her stream and all that shit. But maybe we'll do something fun like that on a different
This just becomes the
Discord thing or
moment you
something.
launch your music career.
This will be the one. I actually was working on, believe it or not, I was working on a rap song for the Nerdvengers. So there are a couple verses written down somewhere.
Gosh,
For the Nerdvengers.
I have to hear this.
Yeah,
I will
I
not
think
leave this earth until I hear it.
I think one of the parts was like, "We're just blasting like boba Nerdvengers. I told you, something blah 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 blah." I forget the exact thing. It was around the time of the Mandalorian.
Yeah, it was like that. It was like that.
Except
That's how it went?
imagine it like that, except like
Blah, 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 blah,
way
blah, 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 blah.
cooler and like more swag and like words that rhymed.
And there was like words in it and like a beat, and then it had like a flow to it.
Word.
Like
that? Yeah, exactly. Something like that. Look, Jared, I will work tirelessly to come up with a beat or something for your thing. Pete
I
Afato.
will hear this song. I will hear this song.
You will. It's gonna be your new ringtone.
I will hear this song. Yeah.
Pete Afato says, "Sorry, Josh, no luck getting a peek of the trailer. Apparently, there's some kind of lock or code that to get it, and they don't have it yet. What?" Okay, so Pete works at the movie theater and says he can confirm that the Spider-Man 3 trailer is with the movie theaters, but he said there's some sort of lock so he can't get into it. Dang, Pete. Pete, you got to break in. You got to figure it out. You got to hack into that shit. And you got to send me the pictures. But no, we appreciate you, Pete.
If you really care about this community, you will commit a felony.
Yeah, that's kind of what we're saying, except we can't legally say that. So again, we're not saying that.
We're not saying ruin your life.
We're not saying ruin your life for the community. We'll find something for you to do at the tower. All right, Montana Mutants with a $10 holla says, "Drinks on me. Cheers." Hey, thank you so much, Montana Mutants. That's very sweet. That's
cheers.
very sweet. Colt says, last episode of Superman and Lois is all Lois. It's fire.
Ooh.
Awesome. Can't wait. Can't wait. Definitely got to check it out. Tommy Lee says, will the Watcher in What If be the one we saw in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 or a new character? I actually believe it'll be a new character. It is Uatu, but I think it's going to be an Uatu from a particular universe. And not one of those. I think it's going to be sort of a new Uatu. What do you think?
Do you think he's going to take like a whole like grandfather owl kind of stance where he's just like narrating a lot of like the what if scenarios and he's more just like and then this happened. I'm like,
well, at first, yeah, because he's not going to like his whole mandate. The whole thing is like they're not allowed to get involved, right? But by the way, Uatu breaks all the fucking time. I'm pretty sure the Fantastic Four, like one of the first ones, he's like, "All right, Reed, how can I help, homie?" or some shit, right? So yeah, he's not supposed to, but
unless you ask really, really nicely.
Unless it seems really dope to put on a comic book page and the writer and the editor and the artist agree, I can tell all my friends about it. Yeah, but I think that's what's going to happen. And I hope that Jeffrey Wright returns as that Uatu in particular, having seen some crazy multiverse shit, and then he kicks off some catalyst for like some Secret Wars stuff. Let's go! That'd be what I would want to do.
Do you think it's gonna tie in to Secret Wars? The What If?
Okay, so this is the thing. When it comes to What If, I don't know that it's ever been confirmed that it will tie into the canon or not, but I'm actually thinking that it will, in a sense where it's like, okay, we're all prepared for the show. We all think it's going to just be what ifs, not really connected to anything. But with the multiverse, why wouldn't these worlds, these sort of what if stories, why wouldn't these branch universes or timeline just be wrapped into the multiverse and be considered canon? That way, if some of them are very popular, if some of these, or even the show's really popular, one of those other things or universes could pop up in Secret Wars. Wouldn't that be kind of cute?
Yeah, I actually do like that. That's like very low stakes commitment. Like if it hits, then it's real, and if it's not, then it's just a universe. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, I'm feeling it. So I'm hoping we get more of that because Jeffrey Wright is amazing too. He's he's pretty cool. Lawrence says Semper Fi. Love it. Very, very fun.
If you guys have any really good simp puns, show up on Darren's Danger Room Discord. We like to throw around simp puns. So
simp puns and maybe some simp art. You know what I mean? We should make a little art. We got to make some emojis for Darren's Danger Room.
I know.
All right. So Harris says, who from Jupiter's Legacy do y'all think will get as heroes to fight the villains in Super Crooks? Or maybe they'll avoid using the title characters? So again, I'm not super familiar with Super Crooks. I'm not sure. Is it, if I guess, existing in the same world, and maybe then we would get some of the heroes from Jupiter's Legacy? I don't know. Or maybe they'll just do totally different ones. They technically let those actors go of their commitment, so I would imagine they would do new characters, yeah?
Yeah, as the person who didn't watch it, I would say that guy that did that thing will probably go to fight that other dude that does the thing.
Holy crap, it's almost like she watched the whole thing, because I totally agree. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't think it's going to be any of the mains, but if it would be, just make it freaking Matt Lanter, man. Matt Lanter's character was dope. But then again, I don't know if he's actually alive during that time. Who knows exactly? Let's see what's going on in the chat. What's everybody saying in the chat? We'll hang out for like 10 more minutes, y'all.
Yeah.
See what
Hey,
everybody's
chitty
saying
chat.
here. Let's see here. Do you think in Venom 2, Venom kills Carnage in the movie? That's an interesting question. Do you think that Carnage is going to get killed, or are they going to keep Carnage around, Darren? What do you think?
I think it depends on whether they want to keep doing this Venom thing or not. If not, kills him.
Yeah.
If they want to keep going, probably not.
Wait, we missed Mike Porter's super chat? How dare we?
Let's no.
Oh, okay.
Blame Josh. It's all fault.
It is actually totally my fault. Mike Porter says, "How are both of you doing today? Take my pennies." Appreciate the love, brother.
Doing good. A little tired. Just got back from Joshua Tree, but I'm living.
Joshua Tree. My name is in that thing, so I like it. That's like a cool place that people go to hang out. Yeah, where's that at?
Can you just let me have trees that aren't related to you? Just let me have my own trees, okay?
Nope.
It's out of my life.
You know what? Funny story about Joshua Tree. Let me tell you all something. When we were younger, my sister and I, we both attended the same daycare, and the daycare people naturally loved us because we're awesome and adorable. They planted 2 trees. They planted a Joshua tree and they planted an Ashley tree. That's my sister.
That is the weirdest flex I've ever heard in my life.
I'm not even done with the flex, okay? So years later, we go back to this place. Only one of the trees survived and thrived, ladies and gentlemen. It wasn't the fucking Ashley tree. Let me just tell y'all that. You know what I'm saying? Let's go! My tree was the one that survived. Let's go!
What is this story? This is the weirdest flex of all time. That like I was such a lovable child that a tree was planted in my honor and it has thrived ever since. What?
That's right. And that was only the start.
Is that when you knew you were going to make a YouTube channel? You're like, you know what? People have loved me since I was yet a wee babe. So much to plant trees in my honor.
I actually had already created the channel by the time I made it back and found out that the tree was still alive and thriving. But I took it as a sign. You know what I mean? I took it as a sign that we were on the right track over here at the Den of Nerds. I was like, yo, this tree's still here? Shit, we're going places. So, yeah, that's how that went.
I've never wow, what a lovable child. You must have been just an angel. Who picks one kid in the school to plant a tree in their name? What's going on here?
2 kids, me and my sister. They just really loved us.
I know, but that's so weird. There's so many kids in a daycare, and they're like, yeah, you guys are cute.
I never really thought of it that way. But now that you mention it, it's super weird, and we should probably stop talking about it.
The best kid ever.
Actually, I'm pretty sure I was a little shit, just being real. But my sister was really cute, and I know we were really cute, but I was definitely not like a nice kid. I mean, I guess I was nice enough. Shit.
Wow, there's layers to this. There's
layers to
this daycare flex.
There's layers to this story. This is true. Let's see here. We got a chat from Mars P. Says, I vote Josh fights for the rights of his trees. Indeed. I speak for the Joshua trees.
Apparently, he doesn't have to fight for them because he has one literally in his honor. So
you know what? Next time I'm gonna go down. I'm gonna take some pictures of that exact Joshua tree and put it on the Discord for y'all. You'll actually be able to see it.
It should be your profile picture.
It should be my profile picture. I shall change all my profile pictures to the profile picture of that friggin' awesome things. Yeah, let's see here.
I mean, I thought people liked me, but not trees planted in my name liked me. So that just raised the bar to an unattainable level.
Now you got something to aim for. You know what I mean? Now you got something to aim for with your life. I don't know if you're even doing it right.
I'll laugh about that story like 3 hours from now.
Nobody's ever planted a fucking tree for you. Come on now. Let's. What are you even doing? You know what I mean? If you haven't had a freaking tree. Let's see. Freaking Fanjecture over here spreading lies says, well, when your uncle is George Lucas, you get trees in your name. Yeah, I guess that's
your
true.
Uncle is George Lucas?
I cannot confirm nor deny that Uncle George left our family out in the rain, and we got none of that George Lucas Star Wars money, and that's why I'm shitting all over the Disney trilogy. You finally figured it out. That's why I crap all over Star Wars, because Uncle George...
We should low key just like start that rumor, like regardless, like and just
it's already out there.
Well, when people come to your channel, they're like, "Is this
No,
George
I
Lucas's
look a
nephew. I'm like,
lot like
"Oh,
young George. Like if you look at some
kinda
pictures of
do.
young George,
Kind of do.
oh, I look like dead on, full on young George, like as
This is
almost as
like a
young George as you can.
this is actually a pretty meaty conspiracy
My
theory. I
last
like
name is
this.
also Lucas.
I know. I'm gonna start this, and so people are just gonna start coming to this channel, and be like, "Got to see what George Lucas's nephew has to say," and I'm just not gonna correct them ever.
I also
I'm gonna
do.
let everyone believe this.
I also do a really good George Lucas impression. Faster, more intense. Faster,
B plus.
faster.
That's a B plus. That's pretty.
A B plus.
Yeah.
I'll take it, and I'll also take all that money from all those toys.
Okay, now it's starting into a C minus. You're losing it.
All right. Well, moving right along. Moving right along. Let's see what else. Let's see what else is going on in the chat. What are all you crazy Nerdvengers saying? Wait, bro. George Lucas just entered the voice. See, that person thought my impression was real good.
Yeah.
Joshua
well,
Tree, Darren Wood says Montana Mutants. That is interesting connection. That is interesting. Oh, yo,
Just got it.
Avengers Campus. Avengers Campus opening ceremony live on Disney Parks. That's pretty cool. I might check that out after the Strizzeam.
I
read
should go
my
to
super chat.
Disneyland.
Oh, Cashton says, I want James Franco's Harry to come back as the Goblin, too. I mean, that would be pretty sick. I don't know. James Franco's in a little bit of hot water these days, though. I don't know if they're going to be doing that.
I'm not like super in love with James Franco's. He's a guy.
Yeah, he's all right.
Eh.
Yeah.
But I need to go to Disneyland and go see this shit. My friend works at Disneyland. I get to go for free.
What? Your friend's now my friend, too.
Because
Is it a guy or a girlfriend? Tell her about the tree, Darren.
Girl.
Tell her about my fucking tree, and then she'll be
I'm
my
like
friend.
really sick. I'm like the coolest guy. I do have trees in my name, so like you should definitely take me to Disneyland.
I'll be like, hello there. I am a YouTuber that had a tree planted in his name when he was but a boy. Also allegedly related to George Lucas. I hear you could get me into Disneyland.
No, I need to see all the new Disney stuff at. Wait, no. Now I need to put that on my list. Josh, I said I was done running around all over this country, but I got to go to Disneyland now. Sorry.
Yep. Nope. I got to go to Disneyland as well. I want to check out the Avengers Campus thing. No, but for real, that is pretty cool that that's going on right now. I think I actually will go check that out in a minute here. Went to the dispensary to get my tree, says Mike. Nice. Very cool.
Josh and Walt Disney had the same birthday?
Is this true?
It's also the same birthday as my real brother, Kevon, says Lord Vito.
Wow, that's bizarre. That is pretty bizarre.
Weird. That's on tinfoil hat.
Yeah, it's bizarro land out here. Well, Miss Darren Wood, I think that'll probably do for us tonight. Shorter news day, lighter news. By the way, guys, I think not this week, but next week, Darren's going to hop on an evening stream with us. Probably Thursday night. We'll see who's going to be joining her, but we'll be doing that as well as maybe
Thursday
popping
night
in.
for sure.
Thursday night for sure.
Thursday night for sure. Possibly other nights because I'll be on East Coast time. What's up, guys? I'm finally coming over to East Coast. So many of you Nerdvengers on the East Coast feel left out. But,
yes. So that'll be super fun. And just in general, it's the summertime right now, but we get Loki next week. That's going to be dope. And we'll be talking about that on the show. We'll be talking about that maybe Thursday night on the evening stream, too. Who knows? It's going to be dope. Hopefully a lot to
because it comes
into,
out
so.
Wednesday night. Wow, Loki's trying to steal Darren's Danger Room shine. Get your own time slot.
Well, I'm gonna be so hyped up for the show that I'll probably we'll do Darren's Danger Room. I'm sure we'll talk a lot about Loki. We'll just kind of get hyped. Then we'll probably get offline. But I'm not even gonna take a nap. I'm gonna be too jacked up.
I think I want to come to the watch.
Yeah, dude, if you're up, come on through. Come on through on that watch party, man. So we'll be getting that set up, and I'm just in general really looking forward to Loki. I really think it's going to be the show that brings back the hype and gets us all pumped again about the exciting things to come with Marvel. And I'm also going to try not to get my expectations too high, Darren. We'll see what happens.
Well, too bad. It's going to be cool, so get them up.
Up. Expectations to the
I said it.
moon. Let's
said it.
go. And as always, you should check out Darren Wood's YouTube channel as Darren. It's just Darren Wood, right? The YouTube channel.
It's DarynWood, Darren Wood, my name.
On the Instas, on the TikTokies, and all that kind of juicy stuff. Yeah.
Yep, on the Twitters, on the Instagram, all that good stuff.
Dope.
You want to see sexy pics?
The
Patreon.
Yes.
Or my Instagram.
Yes, or the Insta. And then one last little chat here from Mars P says, opening scene for Darren's Danger Room of y'alls as trees from now on. That would be kind of funny. Hey, if you throw some fan art together for that, we will definitely post it and show y'all about it. And yeah, and we're out. Thank y'all so much.
Thank you. Have a good
and we'll
night.
see you guys next week.